Okay, can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, can you guys hear me? Please tell me you can hear me. Oh, thank you. Okay, now I need guests. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry. I was trying to do share screen and set it up on my computer and it worked, but we had an echo and then nobody could hear me and I'm still trying to figure that out. You guys know I'm not very apt with this stuff. Okay, so now I need my guests back. Hey, Eve. We are back. Okay, there's the link up above there. Carrie, Ryan. Okay, come on in, you guys. Hey, little Dev. Sandra, Bob, hi. Eve. There's the link. I'll post it again. Okay. The link is up at the top, Carrie, but I posted it again. I am? Am I too loud? Please, somebody say something.
Hello, hello. Can you hear us now?
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Oh, we've got echo.
Oh my God.
We got a loop.
Well, what the hell do I do now? Why is this so difficult?
You know, your first time going live is always kind of tough.
I go live all the time.
Oh.
All right, there's Carrie. Stop it, you guys.
Oh boy.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, Anderson is right. I always have to kill all the tabs.
That might be an idea. Okay.
I'm with Ryan. The first time's rough, Lisa.
Is that better?
Much better.
Oh
I did
Okay, here we are. Sassy
We can't
pants.
see it. We can't see it.
You can't see it because we're not going to do that because that just fucks it all up. I'll figure that out later. I'm just going to play it for now like I usually do low tech. Okay, welcome everyone in here. Yep, the gang's all here. Andy, if you want to come up, hit the link. As always, all opinions are welcome. You don't have to agree with anything any of it says. Just be polite. My mods know I don't like to have to time out people to block them, so please. Hi, Robin. Little Dev. Okay. So we're here to discuss Fred Said. Now, Kirsten and Carrie have done a lot of... Where did Kirsten go? She just left. Have done a lot more going over everything Fred said, right? Since the beginning. And Andy's here to tell us something about Fred. So let's start off with Fred's first story. Okay, I'm going to play this. This is Carrie's. Carrie, did you clip this?
Yeah, if you want to send the link, I can share it from in your StreamYard so it doesn't mess you up and they can see the
Can
video.
you?
Yeah.
It's your video.
Yeah, which one is it? Just put the link in the chat and I should be able to do it.
Oh my goodness. Okay. There's Kirst again. All right, you guys, bear with me here. I'm not as tech savvy as most people, as we already know. Okay, there's the link to it. The Carrie Moody fanboy. I know she does some awesome stuff.
Okay, give me just a second. I can pull it up.
Oh, hey, Innocent. Hey,
I'm just not
Tits.
gonna say anything until you get it
Where's
figured out.
Scottish Mom? What? Birdie? Is it working, Carrie?
Yeah, now you just have to add that to the studio. Down there at the
No
bottom.
way. No way.
Yes way.
Oh my God.
You did it.
All this time it was that easy.
Oh my God.
And I'm sorry, my
Okay.
voice sounds horrible. I've had that flu for weeks as well, so apologize for my voice. All right, you ready for me to play this?
Yes, we are ready. Okay, this is Fred's very first story. Some people say he hasn't changed his story from the very first day, but I beg to differ. And I think everybody up here does. Okay, go for it.
All right. Is it sharing the audio or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Ignore that this is Judd Nesbitt. I know, Bob. It takes a village.
But again, I stressed to you, there's a reason that nobody is going on television about it and nobody is speaking to have it recorded into
that's
a
not
press
sharing
book.
the audio.
And it's because of all the meth
I can
that's
hear
going
it.
around down there. It is
Can anybody else
so
hear it?
bad. There's some mean people down there in that area. And
Everybody else can, that's fine.
so anyway, we had the opportunity to meet a young man. And I've got a message for that young man at the end of this here, and I'll share it with you. But that young man had a story to tell, and he told me right out there in his driveway after we were told to go see this person. And let me remind you, you've been looking for a red Toyota truck Tacoma with a ladder rack in the back of it, right? With some ladders in the back of it. We were told to go see this person, and we spoke with this person. And this person said that we should go to the horse pond. And he said that he spoke with Don Wells, which is the father of Summer Wells, approximately 3 hours is what he said, after she was gone missing. and that Mr. Wells had concerns about his daughter, but he talked about a book and talked about a sacrifice. Okay, a sacrifice. That's what this man told me. So this is firsthand. He says he spoke with him directly 3 hours. Then he tells me as a reporter, and I say this as a reporter because that's important here in just a minute. So he goes on and says, you need to go check out the horse pond. And I said, where is the horse pond? He says, it's at Warrior Path. And that is a kind of like a state park kind of thing where families go, they go horseback riding, they go in the lake out there and ride around and swim and so forth like this. But there is a certain area where a lot of families go that is a campsite area. And then there's another area that is a horse area, but other families go there to swim occasionally. Okay. But he says that this is what he said. I'm just telling you what he said, and we'll put this in print. But the man says that he was led to believe, okay, that this is what he thinks has happened. That I have to be careful how I word this. That this is what he said. And I'm reporting to you what he said. He said that Summer Wells drowned at that horse pond. And when she drowned at that horse pond, the mother was upset about it and freaked out. And it was apparently an accident. Okay. And in that accident, they brought the body home. Apparently nobody wanted to know anything was going on. That's what I got. And I asked that man that, is that what you're saying? Nobody wanted to know. They didn't want anybody to know what was going on. He said, yes. So he goes on and he says, I would go check the last construction site that Mr. Wells worked at. And I said, okay, do you know where it is? He says, no. I said, okay. And he was very adamant about it. No. And that was it. And so I'm going to show you a little bit of a video that we kind of changed around here. And then I'm going to have a message for somebody here. And I think this might work out because the person that I spoke with, to my understanding, has a record. This person has warrants out for their arrest. This person is a felon. This person has some meth.
Okay. Can you hear me?
This person doesn't look like they're on meth, but they might have sold meth. You see what I'm saying? And there are warrants out for this particular person. So I'll have a message for that person here in just a minute, but I'm going to show you. Anyway, I'm going to show you the video. I want you to pay close attention. All you internet sleuths out there, see if you see anything out of the ordinary. God knows we've looked at it 1,000 times. And this is a day's worth of stuff that we've just kind of condensed into 2.5 minutes here because we're time constrained. But anyway, I'm going to show it to you. You take a look at it and we're going to talk about it afterwards. Okay. So here we go. It's just down the street. And to me, it looked sort of abandoned, but I thought it was strange because you got this old, everything's old around there. But see that blue flag out there? It looks brand hammer new. And it had a little kids thing on the end of it. And if you look in the window, that's a mannequin. A mannequin is there. Let me see if I can pull it up. There it is. I don't know. It's just kind of strange. I don't know. It's just kind of strange. We're just racking our brain. There's no trespassing signs up there, so we did not go on the property. The other area is this one. It is between that house I just showed you and the Wells home. See that yellow truck out there? That's an old Toyota Tundra or Tacoma. That's what that is. And if you look up here, there's a ladder rack up there at the top. And you see that big long ladder that's in the tree? So, and we're just kind of trying to speculate here on this one here. And I told you what this individual has said to us This is what he said after speaking with the father 3 hours after she was passed away, or not passed away, but missing. So I don't know. It's a strange thing, but so here's my deal. I want to make somebody a deal, and I think there's two of you out there. I think there's two of you out there that have felonies. I think that you have warrants for your arrest. I think that you know a little more than what everybody else knows, and I think that you could point us and law enforcement in the right direction of exactly where Little Summer Wells is. Exactly. So here's my deal to you. As a reporter, I will not tell any of my sources whatsoever. Any reporter out there is just like that. And we are covered by the First Amendment on that, okay? But here's the thing. There's $75,000 out there for any information leading to finding Little Summer Wells. If you will tell us, okay, and not go through law enforcement, because I know that's not what you want to do, because you're afraid you're going to go to jail. I'll do two things for you. If you will go through us and just tell us exactly, and it's got to be exactly where this little girl is, okay, then I will sign a contract with you that when the $75,000, because I'm going to go and tell the police where they are and then go out there and look and see, or if this little girl is there. If that little girl is there, then by telling the police department, then they will give us the reward of the $75,000. And in a contract with you and an attorney, I will give you that $75,000. That will be yours, your money. And I will also talk to the district attorney of Hawkins County and see if we can't, if he can't do something with lowering your whatever you've got, your warrants that are out for your arrest and so forth, and see if law enforcement will work with you on that. But if you don't want that part, you want your name completely anonymous, that's fine. You're just simply giving us a tip, and we're going to give it to law enforcement. If that's it, then the $75,000 reward money is yours, and we will sign a contract to that fact. All we want is the little girl found.
Can you hear me,
that's
Lisa?
it. This person has kind of given us an idea where to look, but we need to know exact. Don't just tell somebody, go down here to a state park. Go to a construction site. Don't just tell somebody an exact location. Okay, that's my deal to you. You tell us where it's at. You keep law enforcement out of it. We'll give law enforcement the tip. When the $75,000 comes, we give it to you. We sign that into a contract with an attorney. That's our deal. Yeah. And I wish we had it recorded when we saw him, because when we saw this guy, it was at the spare of the moment. It was at the spare of the moment. He just kind of came out of nowhere, and I decided to ask him a few questions, but we didn't have any time to pull out a camera or anything like that. And he would not give me his name, and he walked on off back up to his place. Didn't want to speak to us anymore. So, but it didn't seem like, when he was talking about a sacrifice, like the father sacrificed the kid, some satanic thing or something like that. It didn't seem anything like that. It was just saying that these type of things happen all the time, and he just called it a sacrifice. It's not like he wanted it to be that. He also said that he got religious on me. That's what he said. I said, religious on you? What does that mean? He said that's when he started talking about the sacrifice thing. So we're messing around and didn't have, I'm not going to get into it. Stick with the facts. Stick with the facts. We got that's the only thing we can do. That's where we got so many different things going on that you see on the internet. You don't know what to believe. You've got to stick with the facts. Stick with what the investigators have found and have put out there. So anyway, so how can this person get in touch with us? Facebook Messenger. My phone number is right there. Give us a call. Text me. Anything along those lines. That's how you get in touch with us. It's right there on Facebook, what you're watching right now. Share this with everybody you can in Rogersville. If you know anybody in the sheriff's department over there, share this with them. Share it, because this is exactly what we were wanting to tell them. And just call us back. That's all. We've called, we've emailed, we've done everything except for drive over there. And I figured that we could make a phone call and you guys would call us back, but nobody has. And
I read it. I could read it one more time for people that just came in. It says Detective John Pruitt of the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department in Rogersville, Tennessee, requested a polygraph examination of Fred Jr. Hill in connection with the ongoing death investigation. The investigation revealed that on February 14th, 2023, the victim's body was found. Okay, you see that it doesn't say they found his body off a cliff. It just said it was found off of the trail in Hawkins County, Tennessee. When you listen to that Fred interview with Ziggy, I don't know if I'd call it an interview, the video call. Did anyone else hear where Fred says that's Laurel Run Park? That's where it all started. That's where it started off at. Laurel Run Park. That's where it started off at. There's something there that he knows. So when I was trying to figure out what no opinion means, it means that they don't want to release yet what it says. They don't feel comfortable with giving an opinion yet. Either they don't want him to know what it says, or it's inconclusive and they can't determine whether he's telling the truth or not.
Quick, before we get cut off, what's going on? Anything you need me to tell anybody?
I just think get lawyers to send some money to you so you can move it to them accounts. They got all my stuff locked down, said I was under investigation over 2 murders.
What? You're under investigation under 2 murders?
That's what they're trying to say.
What the fuck?
I don't know what they're even talking about.
Oh my God.
That's just them fucking. That's just them fucking with me.
Wow.
They took all my shirts. Everybody that texts my name on the shirt or anything they take it. It's been crazy.
Wow. So you need money.
Your free call is now over. Please remember that you're telling.
Yeah, all kinds of wild stories he tell me, and I just leave there.
Another one. How do we know he's not even making this up? Dead men tell no tales, right?
I don't know, but why were they thinking he was suspect in 2 murders, yet they used him with a wiring device?
Exactly. He's just trying to get notoriety, money on his books. That's all he cares about.
I thought it was convenient when I found out that old cop was dead.
Exactly. He's going to blame it on the dead man. Really? Wow.
Sometimes people do things to get the look off themselves. Blame it on a dead person. That's a good way to go.
Well, I'll guarantee you the detectives are trying to talk to him, but he keeps talking him way out in left field somewhere. And that's why I want to beat his ass so bad. Because he could be the person responsible for Summer's disappearance. Because he got meth heads going in and out of our road, day and night, all day long, all night long. And he could be the person responsible for Summer's disappearance. And he wants to sit there and talk crazy. The boy needs his ass beat. He wants to play games after my daughter's disappearance.
That's what's so bad about it.
Yeah, exactly. When the police was up there at my house, I says, "You're not going to go knock on Fred Hill's door or some of these kids around here?" I says, "Let me the fuck out of the way, and I'll go do it myself." And they says, "Well, we can't stop you, Mr. Wells. You're a free man." I said, "Yeah, that's right." And I went over there and I drove to his house and I about kicked the fucking door in. And he's like, oh, yeah. Well, I see some methods up there on the ridge, blah, 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 and talking all kinds of crazy. Yeah.
That seems awful suspicious to me.
Cannot get a straight answer out of him for nothing. And here he is playing games again on Ziggy's Live and everything else. Cannot get a straight answer out of him.
I watched them.
Okay. All right, Ryan's muted. Can you guys hear me? Please tell me you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome, because I couldn't hear anybody there for a while. Okay, so what's everybody thinking? What happened to something happened at the horse pond? That was the first story.
Yep. Yeah, horse pond, the church did it. Oh my gosh, so many different stories.
Yeah.
And
For
now,
somebody that's actually 100%, 110% convinced, if you listen to them, of what they're saying now or what Brett's saying now, he sure changed his story a whole lot.
a whole lot. Now they're going full tilt against Andy.
And
Andy did it.
he said something in chat the other day.
Hi, Damrest. Yeah. Always somebody. Cotton. It was Cotton for a while. Now, who do you think the two murders are? Cotton, obviously. Not Summer, because Summer, that wasn't a murder.
I'm not sure.
Do you remember he also was convinced it happened on the 14th early on, too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we know it didn't happen on the 14th. And, you know, he talked about, you know, they were leaving and went to the scrapyard, right? And then the next time when Ziggy said, oh, you could call the scrapyard and check what time they got there or whatever. Then
He never made it.
Yeah, then he decided he didn't make it and came back, brought it back. Then he said he picked up a motorcycle or something and brought that back.
Mm-hmm.
Then by the time the latest is that, that wasn't even that day. He went to the scrapyard a different day.
He definitely said it was that day. Yep, he definitely said it was that day. Laura said that they saw Andy between noon and 2. She says they made it to the junkyard. Fred says it was like 3:40 something that he saw Andy, and that they didn't make it to the junkyard. So he also at one point has said that he never left the hill that day until late in the afternoon.
Yeah, he's changed the stories many times. He's tweaking it. Almost every time he tells it, he tweaks it.
I noticed about him, the strange thing about one of the biggest reasons why I stopped believing the things he came up with was because it's not so much he changes his story, he goes with what he's asked. So if someone asks him, I noticed that when Ziggy asked him about Laurel Run or Cotton Simpson, he just created this big story around Cotton. And when this interviewer asked him about, the horse pond, he created a big story around the horse pond, and he goes wherever the person asks and just creates this big whole story. So it's like, yeah, his story's changing, but he's just going with what people give him, and he builds a big story around it. That's what I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said on Remain Calms, he's like the human version of AI. He just picks up random bits of information from here and there and everywhere, and then spouts that off as facts. Can you not remember what he said at the beginning? And why do people keep saying he's never changed his story from the very first day? Are they deaf?
Well, like Ziggy, she says it too, but she has also told us in the burn barrel video, she told us that he went to the scrapyard that day. She was under the impression that he went, and there's several things that she has said that leads her to believe certain things. Like there was a scent in his car, and that people were trying to set him up because of the scent in a car. So what made her believe all those things? Why has that changed?
Yeah, he definitely said multiple times about different people setting him up, mostly Dawn. But I think he also thought Jody Sue and Andy were, but he definitely thought Dawn was at one point.
Well, see,
I would
now
really like to know why, with his wire recordings, why on July 4th of 2022, Fred said that it was all deleted because of the error or whatever happened. Then on January 1st of 24, Fred says that law enforcement has all of it. So which is it? Do they have any or do they not? Do those even exist? I have done so many true crime cases, and I can't even fathom the idea that law enforcement was going to use somebody with Fred Hill's character, who they were aware of, to try to wire to record these possible suspects, because that would have never made it through the courthouse. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
there's no way they'd ever put him on the stand. So they wouldn't have done that to begin with. They didn't even know if Fred was a suspect at the time. They didn't wire him. I think it's insane to even
Yeah, I
believe
do
or
too.
think they did. I did. Laura says she saw the device. That's what she called it. She saw the device one time. If my husband is wired for 3 days in a row for law enforcement, by golly, I'm gonna see more than one time. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up.
I think Laura says a lot of what Fred wants her to say. I think that she fears Fred from a few things that I've heard and seen.
Yeah,
I do believe that.
I agree. There's times that Fred would say something and Ziggy always tries to correct it. And that's what happens when you get too close to a case. And so she'll talk over, she'll try to correct it. And there's many times in all the different interviews that Ziggy would try to correct it to be what Fred had said. So for instance, the time that she saw Andy, she said between noon and 2. But yet Fred says it's later on that afternoon. Ziggy will try to correct it, and then Laura will say, yeah, well, it might have been later on. You know what I mean? So, but originally you had some kind of time frame.
Now, Carrie, have you seen this new TBI tip? The newest one?
Oh, the email?
Yeah, the one where he tries to explain that.
Yeah, that's
Don
interesting
came down to
too.
the house.
That's another interesting email, because in the very beginning, Fred didn't know what that truck looked like. He didn't know what make or model it was. He said he thought it was blue. Nothing about tinted windows. Nothing about a make or model. He had no idea, and that is what he said in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, no, he's added to it. There was another TBI tip. I think it was a week after that. She wrote them and said, my husband Fred just told me last night that Don came down to his house the night that Don supposedly called CPS on himself to come get the boys, because Don wanted him to go negotiate a deal for him so that the dealers would not come and get the boys. Now he is just now coming out with this.
And that's not what he told Chad. That's not what he said at the beginning.
Yeah.
And allegedly,
happening?
whatever he said Don told him to Chad would have been on the tape, right? If he was taping. I just think he's a defense attorney's dream, really. I mean, nothing he said or touched his fingers to can ever be used in court. I could impeach him in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
you could never put him on the stand. He's not a
No.
credible witness.
No, and law enforcement would not have done that. I don't think anybody with a brain truly believes that. I mean, gosh, I hope not, because I mean, I can say with almost certainty that they're not going to do that. He's the local meth dealer. I mean, honestly, they're not doing that. It's just silly to think that.
Well,
and it's silly for, I think, well, never, I don't want to talk about that yet. But.
He says his reasoning for that night for them having him record them, the Wells, was again for because they knew that he had sold his children before that. That makes no sense.
No.
That wouldn't even have been brought up.
Right.
The 15th. How would
they still wouldn't have used Fred Hill to wire for 4 days.
No, I don't believe that. I think he used his own phone.
He may have done that.
You all aware of the court case?
Hilarious.
Innocence is talking about Fred's court case, March 20th, 9 a.m.
I think it's this is just my guess, but he violated probation before because he didn't pay his court fees. Remember, he's supposed to be making payments on that. And the last time 6 Up went live, she said he had only made one payment. So I'm thinking maybe it's that again.
Hmm.
So expect a new grift over there in Ziggy's.
Oh, it's already started. I don't even know if this is the place to talk about her right now. It's very aggravating to me that these two people get on the internet every night of the week. And one of them was not there, which is Ziggy. She was not there. But she puts out this information to her audience as if she knows the absolute truth, and there are just people that are going to believe her word. And like PG's chat last night, they were saying, PG doesn't lie. And there were lies being told all on Andy. That's not cool. It's not fair. He has to live his life. And from what I've heard, he has issues getting a job down there because some places don't want to deal with it. And I believe that because once again, PG called Hayworth, they don't want to get these phone calls about this, but they do.
It's none of our business, actually.
No, it's not going to change
That's
anything.
law enforcement's job. Okay, I have checked several different websites. Okay, he said he has a court date. Actually, they were talking, they said Innocent is not from New Zealand. She's from the United States because innocent until proven guilty is strictly a United States thing. No, it's not. Every country has that. I checked. And he said, don't be late. Don't be late for my court date, Innocent. That's going to be a fun day. So he's got a court date.
Is it for him or something else? Do you know?
I don't know.
It would be under
That's
his records, under the Hawkins County court records, right? It was for him.
Yeah, I don't see anything. It's all
I
closed
haven't
or
looked it up.
disposed of.
It
All of
should
them.
be on maybe on the court docket. Has anybody looked at that?
I'm looking at it right
You
now.
looking?
Everything
Okay.
is closed or disposed.
So it could be for some other case.
So that's Hawkins County,
Could
yeah.
be,
or
but he
different
said
county.
he said, don't be late for my court. I said, I'm going to put up a GoFundMe for Innocent for plane ticket from New Zealand if Fred wants her to show up.
Yeah. I think she has put them both in danger. The things that, the people they talk about, I don't think she should go to Tennessee. I really don't.
How are they going to get there? None of them have a
Oh.
driver's license. They don't have insurance. They don't have
I don't think that
anything.
matters to them.
Yeah, but if he drives, if any of them drive, if Fred gets caught driving, he'll go directly to jail.
Well, Fred is giving false information to TBI. So do you think he cares about that? That in itself is a big fine. And I believe, I don't know if it's a felony, but it's a charge.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Okay, now, last night, remember Fred saying he met Rose Bly? Fred did not meet Rose Bly. I'm sorry. That never happened. And Ziggy, she was playing Candace and Don's first interview there, and Candace said that they were between Tennessee and Arkansas, and so Ziggy's like, there. She said Tennessee. See, Rose could have visited Tennessee. They weren't in Tennessee when Rose disappeared yet. I don't know how she got that he could have met Rose in Tennessee from that. I don't know. She just, like she did
that
with
was the big
Pruitt's
wooden
phone call.
sign, right?
What?
That was the big wooden sign, right, with Rose?
Oh, yeah. Prostitution or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find exactly what about that.
Yeah, that never happened. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just, I thought it was just a probation check, but surely he has a probation agent there in Indiana, wouldn't you think, when they transfer it? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I see it now. 3:20, 9 a.m. It's a review hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. It's under his records.
Okay. Yeah, drug testing. Well, innocent, the Ernie's phone calls were and texts were $4,000. Now, Fred and Ziggy's have a lot more than that, so. Pretty expensive. Oh, cursed. The link. My goodness. Ziggy's doesn't have a license. She has to have an interlock device on anything she drives in order to get it back, and they can't afford that. Wait. I gotta put this in here. Okay, there you go, Kirst. Yeah. No, she can't drive. None of them have a driver's license.
She still doesn't have her driver's license?
What?
She still doesn't have her driver's license?
No, she can't get it back unless she has an interlock.
I thought it's been years since her DUI. That's crazy.
It has been. It has been, but I don't think she's ever applied for it back. I mean, that costs a lot of money. Somebody said the van doesn't work. Okay, so why don't you tell us about Fred and your trip to the cave, Brian?
You really want to hear about all that?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, it started with that jailhouse call, which sounded fascinating, but I didn't really want to go with just that, so I tried to reach out to Fred. I tried to talk to Fred, and of course, at that point, you couldn't get to Fred without talking to Ziggy. And
Right.
Started talking to her. Then she's like, well, yeah, you can just do a jail call with him. So I figured I'd go to the jail, which apparently is a video call anyway. And they wouldn't, I don't know, that was a whole fiasco. They approved my visit, and then I stood there for a while in front of the camera in the room, and then they just said he was busy for some stupid reason. So I don't know. So I left, and then eventually got a phone call with him, and he gave me, in the video call with the jail call, his description was so vague. It was like Laurel Run under a cave, and he didn't really give any details. So finally, we got on the call with him. I asked him, could you describe exactly where this thing is? Because I'll go out there, I'll walk in any part of Laurel Run if you just tell me exactly where to go. And he said, if you go down Logger Creek, I think it's called.
Logger Falls.
Logger Falls, thank you. It's been so long, I'm sorry. Like it's 2 years ago, a year ago. It was, yeah, he goes, you go to Logger Falls, go all the way to the trash pile, and once you find the trash pile, he said it's about 500 feet from the trash pile, downstream or upstream, whichever is away from the road. And so finally, I went with a buddy of mine. We finally found, I got to tell you guys, the whole area is like a trash pile. Like once you start getting within a mile of the road, it's junk. There's like tanks in the stream. There's just trash everywhere, but it's not I wouldn't call it a pile. I just call it random scattered remains of junk throughout the trail. But then you do get to this cliff at the waterfall, right at Logger Falls, I'm not sure if that's Logger Falls, but there's a waterfall only a few hundred feet from the road. And right there is a overturned, like someone had driven a car or pushed a car right off a cliff, and it just fell on the ground. So I'm like, maybe that's what he means by the trash pile.
Now,
I
was
don't
he
know.
directing you to where Cotton supposedly fell, or where Cotton had told him Summer's body was? What were you looking for?
So that's a good question. That's a really good question. Specifically, I said, because his story was the Cotton had hidden Summer in a cave,
Right.
right?
Mhm,
And so
mhm,
I'm like,
Underwater fall.
yeah, I'm like,
mhm.
I don't need to know where Cotton passed. I just need to know where's that cave? Where's this alleged cave? And so it's the cave I was asking for, and that's what he was describing. It was about 500 feet or so from the trash pile. And then, so what I did was we started at the waterfall. I even went underwater with the camera and looked for a cave under the water. Then I'm like, all right, if he means 500 feet, the only side there can be a cave on is the cliff side, because the other side is just a hill. There's like dirt, dirt hill. So we actually walked the cliff side, myself and my buddy. Can't remember his name now either. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. We hiked the cliffs. It's all, there's no cave. There's no cave, you guys. Like there's crevices. We looked in the crevices. We used poles with lights. There's no cave there. But after that hike, I was so frustrated and so angry. I'm like, I'm not dealing with Fred anymore. I'm talking to the Simpson family, because they would know. They would know about the cave. They would know where he fell. So I just reached out to them and I just started talking to them. And once I started talking to them, the truth just, I got to tell you, that's when I'm like, I'm done with Fred, because they told me, yes, Roy fell in that area. There's no cave where he fell. It was a cliff. It was on Simpson property. And the family was like, we're not going to tell anyone where it is because it's on private property. We don't want damn YouTubers out there videoing the place where he died. And I completely understood. But what it told me is, number one, the whole cave thing is BS, complete BS. He kind of took what he does, and what I learned from that whole experience is he takes the true story. He probably knew, because he does talk to people and he knows people in the area, and he hears the stories, and he heard that Roy Simpson fell off a cliff in Laurel Run. So he took that little gem of truth and he just twisted it into the Summerwells case by making it, when that guy fell off a cliff, it was actually hiding something in a cave, and he made it related to the Summerwells case. That's what I believe happened.
I do too, because he was looking at some major time in prison at that point. And I think he was shooting for a deal, possibly.
Oh, and I don't know what's out there about his connection with Simpson. I don't know if the whole drug thing, is that even out there? Should we talk about that?
Cotton or Marvin?
Roy and Fred.
With
It's
his
come
map
out a
in the
little
system.
bit, yeah.
Like,
Well,
I don't
Fred was with Cotton.
Only a few hours before he died, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And Cotton had all that pocket full of money.
He had a bunch of money, and I believe he bought some drugs. I don't know if it was meth specifically, but he bought some drugs. I'm not going to say who. Well, screw it. The family believes the drugs were potentially laced, or I don't know, something wrong with the drugs, because he was out of his. They believe he was out of his mind. There's no reason he would have gone to that cliff, gone out there hiking. He was frail. This guy was frail. He could barely walk.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, because it says on the poly that he had the meth in his system.
Yep.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Did he have the money on him when they found him, Ryan?
That's a very good question.
I don't think so, because that's why people are saying that he got robbed.
Yeah, he did not have all that money with him.
Yeah, Fred's sister. See, I'm not quoting anybody, but it's been said that Fred said, I figured he'd get robbed with all that money on him.
Yep.
And it's
He actually said that?
Yeah. And
Oh my
then
God.
Ziggy told the story that him and Marvin followed him after he was supposedly buying a boat, or talking about buying a boat, that they followed him out of the holler to the cemetery. He's told it.
He said that he followed They followed them.
Yes, I've clipped it. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, Laura said that when she told Fred that Cotton had been found, that he bolted out of there, turned white, and ran out the door.
Oh, Ellie, I'm sorry, I missed the comment. So when he said, that's a good question too. So he sent me to Marvin Simpson. He was in prison, jail, so he couldn't show me where the cave was. So he said, go talk to Marvin Simpson. Gave me his address. And in his text, he did make that comment like, please clear our names. And at the time, I didn't know the story about Simpson. I didn't know about the drugs. I didn't know about him being suspected, him buying drugs from Fred and then immediately dying just a few hours later. I didn't know that. So at the time, I'm like, clear out your names. I have no idea. Now, in hindsight, now I understand.
Yeah.
He's under suspicion, obviously.
Yeah.
I wonder what he knew about the death scene that wasn't publicly released, and how did he know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
How would he know
claims
that?
he's talked to his sister, I believe is what he has said, but he also points fingers at the sister as well for being the one responsible for his death.
He's
One thing
pointing a lot of fingers at people. How many fingers does he have?
Quite a few.
And I will say one last thing about the family. I gotta say is I can't tell you guys, like we've talked to missing people who deal with scam artists, and it hurts them. And I feel this. I sense the same hurt from the Simpson family, who have had their father, their spouse put under suspicion of doing something to a little girl by this guy, Fred.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how that feels for that family? Like, they are furious, but they also know that Fred had a little ring of, criminal, whatever they are, the whole drug scene, and they're terrified. Like, they don't want to talk to people. They don't want to have anything to do with this, but then it keeps coming up on YouTube. Roy's name keeps coming up, and every time it comes up, it hurts the family so bad. And that's what pisses me off more than anything.
Yeah.
But here's what this is what Laura said about what Fred knew. She said, Ziggy then talked about Fred having to take the lie detector about Cotton, and she's asking what it is that Fred had info on that had not been released publicly. And Laura said, she said, remember, I told you earlier that someone told Fred that Cotton was hit in the back of the head, and that's what gave them grounds to do the lie detector test. She said one of Cotton's family members had told a friend, and that friend told Fred.
Mm-hmm.
And that Ziggy had talked to a close family member of Cotton's, and they were under the assumption that it was an accident. But none of that was released publicly, so.
I looked at both of the obituary sites for Cotton, and usually, there's 5 comments, from people on those. He had dozens of comments of people saying what a wonderful person he was, what a wonderful friend. I've never seen so many people commenting. I mean, I think he was really a nice person and a really good friend and a really loved person.
Yeah. And no one would say that he was the perfect person. I mean, he had, like a lot of people in the holler, I mean, he had his issues, but every one of the family was like, he was a good father. He was a really good father, and he did his best. At the end, he just got wrapped up, unfortunately, with drugs. He did. He ended up, well, his mother died, and he kind of lost it after his mother passed away, and that was part of it. So yeah, it's really sad. It's a really sad story.
Ellie, they didn't say he had knowledge of a crime scene. They said he had knowledge of a death scene, but I see what you're saying. The scene. He had knowledge of the scene. That hadn't been released. Actually, they haven't really released other than what was on that letter that Fred had. Yeah, I think so too.
It's been said that they asked him about Summer. Ziggy said that twice, but she'll deny that now. She's taken that back since.
Yeah, and I want
You
to
got-
read these two different things if you don't mind. This is about the wiretap because it really irritates me. But this is what Fred says about the wiretapping, and for anybody that says he's never changed his stories, it's just mind blowing. But January 1st of 24, this was on Ziggy with Fred. Let's listen to an interesting convo. That was Ziggy's video. Fred and Ziggy begin to discuss the wire situation. Fred says that and maybe I'm misunderstanding, so maybe it'll be different. Fred says that the dispute between the Bernards and Jackie Dobbs was because Andy had his pot plants right there at the edge of their property, and Dobbs, edge of their property and Dobbs, and that Andy told Fred personally, and that's on tape too. Ziggy then asked Fred what part of his recordings got deleted, because remember he said like something came on and it scared him and what have you. So Ziggy asked him what part of his recordings got deleted. He had previously told her some audio didn't go through, but Fred goes on to say it actually did go through, but it was something that bled onto things. So these are his exact words, that they thought it didn't go through, or he thought it didn't go through, but he now says it did. That was in 2022. But then July 4th of 22, Fred says that's like when I went down there for TBI, which I was taping stuff for them. Well, I was talking to Dawn and stuff there over the device. It was like someone laughed out loud, just real loud. And when him and TBI go back and review what had been recorded, it was wiped clean. Like there were jokers on there or something. Yeah, because it didn't happen, Fred. It didn't happen. Fred goes on to say that TBI couldn't figure out why everything they had on there was wiped. And when that laugh came through, Fred says he played it off like it was his phone. He says the laugh sent chills down his spine. When it happened, he said, Dawn just looked at him. Fred had his phone in his hand and said, yeah, this effing phone. Him and Dawn talked for a few more minutes, and then Fred met up with TBI, and they were going over some stuff they knew had been on the recording, but it had been wiped clean. Fred says that the way the device was set up, there was no way that he himself could erase anything off of it. He said whoever had done it had to have been really high tech to be able to do something that advanced in technology. He says to be able to break the code and shit down. Fred claims that they already had so much recorded on it prior to this event, and some recorded on a different device. But when that laugh happened, everything they had recorded up to that point was wiped clean, just like that device was a clean slate. He said at that point, they probably had 2 to 3 days recording on it and about 15 hours of audio, wiped clean.
They don't use the same device more than once unless they download this stuff. They don't.
Well, no, they wired him up at his house as well, remember?
I don't think so. Why would they carry wire around when they go to a missing persons case? No, I don't believe that.
No, you'd have to have a warrant. I know Ziggy said in that live you don't need a warrant. Yes, they would have to have a warrant to wire somebody. Absolutely, they would. It would have to go through chains of command. They're not just going to show up at his house 15 minutes after Dawn Wells leaves saying my child's been kidnapped and be like, oh, hey, Fred, let's wire you up. You're the,
Carrie,
you're the good guy. You're the good guy around here, Fred. Let's get you going.
Which device was wiped clean?
It's the only one that he used.
Fred's cell phone?
No, the recording device.
No, the wiring device.
Yeah, it's his cell phone. Yeah, you might be onto something there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really on 110. He was hanging around at the end of the driveway,
Yes, he was.
Yeah, Andy didn't have pot growing on the side of the road and then called the cops. That's a little far-fetched, isn't it? Andy, did Jody Sue have trail cams on Dobbs' property? Tell me that. Because she posted pictures of Dobbs and Elvis walking the property earlier. So if she didn't have trail cams up there, how did she get those? What's he
That's
saying to
another
me?
thing. Fred's putting out that they had to have warrants to search Jody and Andy's place. No, they didn't.
He said
Yeah,
early
right.
on they didn't because,
They
yeah,
appeared
early
to.
on he said that everybody allowed them to search.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I believe Fred said they searched his house that night. You know, a lot happened in the 15 minutes Dawn was at Fred's house that night. So they talked a lot about religion and a bunch of stuff like that. But also Fred's house got searched. He got wired up. He went straight down there to Andy and Jody Sue's so he could record everybody. It's just wild. It's
Well, but she had pictures of Dobbs and Elvis walking his land before he went there on the 14th. It was after he bought it. He came and walked it, and there's screenshots or trail cam of that. I saw two stills from that.
Mm-hmm.
So where did those come from?
And Fred said that in the one Carrie was just reading it, what he was talking about getting the wire clean. He told Ziggy that he had a camera on Dobbs' property. Wasn't that interesting?
Somebody did.
I mean, it's what's important here is a little girl's missing, and what's important is cameras and witnesses and what happened in the time frame and who was there in that time frame. And there was a lot of people on that road that day. There really was in that particular time frame. You know, it's just very telling. A lot of people are confused about some things like this camera footage. I 100% believe in what is being said, and that is the camera footage was the wrong date. Fred says he's seen a timestamp 3:47, and I believe that he's seen a timestamp of 3:47, but he didn't see Andy, and that timestamp came from the 14th.
I believe that too, and I think you know, Ziggy didn't get that a lot of us I think did, but when TBI called her to ask about this truck thing, you know, they blew the Andy situation off. They made themselves clear. We've already interviewed him repeatedly.
Yes.
And it may have been a different day. I think like that was like their way of saying, yes, we know, but it wasn't that day. So shut up about that. Tell us about this truck you might have information on.
Right.
Then all of a sudden there's a make and a model, I believe, and it's dark like blue and it's got tinted windows and all this stuff that Fred did not know in the beginning. So suddenly this truck they've never seen again, they've figured it all out, I guess.
Suddenly, 4 years later, Andy.
Yeah.
And we think, I love how we think he was meeting Andy. We think that's not the kind of tips you give law enforcement. Your fantasy scenario or whatever that you dreamed up. I think they've done caused more damage to the case than Jody Sue. I really do.
Well, probably, and calling in all that stuff, you know, I mean, I get it. She believes her husband, and I mean, so be it. But there's just so many red flags that are just blatant, and if nothing else, it's just lies. If nothing else, Fred could have no involvement. I don't know. What I do know is he has told an awful lot of stories, and in doing so, he's hurting a lot of other people, and so is she. When you're putting people that can't even defend themselves anymore, you know, and calling them possible murders of a young little girl, that's horrific. And the Cotton isn't here to defend himself. Andy's still on to defend himself. I don't know if Andy did anything or not. I don't think he did. But my point is, when you're, you know, out there accusing people, he even accused Marlena. I mean, he's accused everybody but him. So it's wild to me. And about those cameras, this is what he said on January 1st, that same interview. Was January 1st of 24. He said, I'll tell you exactly where he said those were. There's been cameras on that road for years. Ziggy's even on it from her first visit. He also says there are 4 different cameras on that road. One is you come in the holler at the stop sign, but on the
Right.
other side of the main highway.
Right.
One before you get to the Wells driveway on the other side of the road, where Jackie Dobbs' property is. Fred says that's his camera.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. He says they snap pictures, but some also have video and audio. And that Andy was up on camera on Fields Road on the 15th. And that Andy admitted it to him as well. But when Fred asked Andy about it, Andy said he was down there, but never said why.
Right.
So I don't know where he's saying the cameras are now.
He was there on the 15th. He was
Babs
there.
was not there. Babs was not there on the 15th, and it's
Andy was there on the 15th. He was there after 6:30, searching like everyone else.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And they went to Fields Road because there's property there, and that's what law enforcement was having everybody do. Check your property. And Fields Road is not miles away, you know. This was hours after the call. She could have been that far, you know. That's what they were doing. They were checking the property. A lot of things have been twisted in this case. Just
I will say about Ziggy, and I know a lot of people don't like her, and she's said plenty of hateful stuff about Jen and I, but I do believe she 100% believes Fred from the very beginning. Since she started talking to him in the jail up until today, I think she's just bought into every story he's told, and she believes
Oh,
him.
I
Story.
agree. I
Which
agree.
story? They're mutually exclusive,
Well,
Ryan.
but when you're so
All of
close to
them.
the situation, it's really hard to start distinguishing. You start second guessing yourself. Like I've heard her say, "Well, wait, didn't you say?"
Right.
But then she can almost convince herself, and I mean, many of us can do that. So I'm with you on that, Ryan. Like
Yeah, you know what I mean? When
she
you're in a-
truly believes him. It's
Yeah.
kind of
When-
scary because if nothing else, he's just a really bad habitual liar. If nothing else, and
Yeah, and you know, I'm sure you know people in a relationship that people are, you know, you don't want to believe the person's lying, so you do kind of do cartwheels in your head to explain it away, all the contradictions. And I think that's what's happening with her. She just like, well, she explains it away. The contradictions we all blatantly see in her head, she's just explaining it away because she doesn't want to believe that he's making up these stories. And I get
right.
that.
Yeah, nobody wants to believe that for sure, and I totally get that too. I just hope that she at least wakes up a little bit to some of it. I worry for her. But
Yeah.
you know,
What's Fred's angle? What's Fred doing?
that's what I'd like to know. Is it Fred wants attention? Is it Fred has knowledge, so he's started off telling these lies that have just snowballed? Is it he thinks he's going to make money off this? What is his angle? Why would you do this?
Can I tell you my theory and you guys poke holes in it?
Yep.
If you don't mind. So what I've thought from the beginning, when I first saw the interview, the the video where she drove up and met him for the first time, and she was asking questions, and I noticed he got really excited about the questions, and like I want to show you the bones and all that stuff. Like he got excited about telling stories and presenting himself like I know everything about everybody in this entire holler. I'm the guy. Like I know everything. And the whole relationship seems to have just built from there. And so when she'd ask him a question, like in the jailhouse interviews, she'd ask him a question and he'd grab the information she would give and build a story, because in my opinion, it just came across like he loved everyone thinking he knows everything. He's got the story. He's the guy. He's the man. You know what I mean? Like he knows the story, and it's just gone on from there. That's my opinion. I don't know if he's guilty of anything, but I do know he loves feeling important to Ziggy and to Ziggy's platform.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's where I'm
she,
at with
you know,
it. I don't know intentions right now. I'm confused on intentions.
and somebody in the chat said too, like she's really invested now. So to admit to a big public audience that you might have been wrong on something this huge would be pretty hard to do. It would be really hard.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
But yeah, I mean, definitely.
It'll be all right. Yep. I would rather her just do it though, you know. I care for Ziggy on a different level too, believe it or not, you know. whether she's scamming on purpose or lying on purpose, everybody's a decent human being to a point, and I just don't want to see her get hurt, and get wrapped up in this Fred Hill lifestyle, and I'm afraid she already is. He's not good people.
No. No. I agree there. I think he's definitely guilty. Not of anything to do with Summer, but I think he's guilty of some other stuff.
He has done things. I got to tell you, he's done things, and I hate that I can't talk about some of the things because I haven't confirmed, but I've heard rumors of things he has texted to people that would make people believe he is involved in Summerwell's case. He's involved in it, and I think that his texting and his telling stories, I don't know why he would do this, but he's like almost implicating himself.
Yes, he's making himself a suspect, whether he's making himself look like one, and probably to law enforcement too. I mean, you can think if the public is seeing all of this, so are they. They're paying attention. How does Ziggy think they know who she is? Hello, because they're paying attention to Fred Hill. That's how they know that, and you keep giving tips. But I mean, if I called, they're not going to know who I am. I know you guys. I don't think any of you believe the dog sense and stuff.
No.
So why
Absolutely
would they make
not.
up that story too? Then why would they make up that whole story
You mean
about
the hits,
dogs?
Yeah,
about the scent
Up
dogs
his
hit at their
driveway
truck.
and to his car.
They hit at their truck, behind their truck, on the ground.
See, why would
at the
he say
top
that?
of the
That's what
drive.
I don't
His
So
mom
this
and
is
dad's
exactly.
property.
This was Laura, but Ziggy asked Laura if the scent dogs hit at their truck, and she responds, yes, they hit behind their truck on the ground at the top of the driveway where Candace pulled up to and was sitting in the driveway. By the way, that's another thing, because in another story, they say Candace is just standing out there, that she walked, she didn't drive. But in multiple others, she did drive. Ziggy said, oh, did she pull in the driveway? And Laura says, yes, she did. That or she pulled up to the bottom of the driveway. Laura says that Chad said she stood outside the car, didn't go to the door, and just hollered to see if Fred and Laura were home. Chad responded that he didn't know as he had just pulled up. She said Candace got back in her car and asked if he had seen Summer. This was at the camper at 207. And also Chad has a dark blue truck.
Yes, he does.
And where is Chad?
He's deceased, isn't he?
No.
Well, not that we know of.
Is that Chad? Oh wait, no, Jason. Never mind.
Jason, that's who I'm thinking of.
He won't talk.
I don't know.
He don't want to talk.
Laura talks very, very, very highly of Chad. They've been friends forever. Yeah, why hasn't Chad talked?
There's some reason why Chad is hiding.
I think he's scared silent, to be honest.
I do
She
too.
spoke highly of Jeff Everly as well, and
I think we know who he's afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rain Dancer, yeah, it's one of Fred's sisters, I think, said that Summer's clothes were in the washing machine. Is Ellie still here?
Yeah, that's what she said.
yeah, that's wild.
Did Ellie say that? Or the other sister?
I don't remember which one it was. It was one of them, though.
Do you guys mind talking about the mother story? Because I've never. That's
No,
the last
let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's the last thing I started looking into until I was just done with Fred's stuff, and the story about how his mother died kind of creeped me out a little bit. Have you guys looked into the circumstances around that?
Around his
Well,
mother.
Ellie, do you want
in
to?
the hospital, right? Not at home.
Do you want to come up, Ellie, and talk about that?
That would be amazing.
Ellie?
Straighten it
Ellie?
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Ellie.
it was Chad's brother, Robin. Wasn't it just Chad's brother that's deceased? Is that who I'm thinking of?
Jason Arnold, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Here, Ellie, I'm
I
tapping the
also-
link for you.
I also don't blame anybody for not wanting to come out and speak. I wouldn't either, because we know what social media does to these people.
Yeah,
Hi,
just
Forbid
Sarah.
they come out and tell us anything.
Ellie spoke out. not too long ago. She spoke out on a lot of things. You didn't get that interview?
I'd love to hear from Ellie, actually.
She was on 6 Up not too long ago
Yeah.
and spoke on the clothes and Chad, Fred.
I will say, Ellie, it is hard coming up live, trust me, but the hate that comes out later on, you honestly ignoring it, it goes away. Like the hate doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't go anywhere. So just the truth is what matters.
Can you just come up for a couple of minutes, Ellie, and tell us the story and then go back down?
Pressure.
They
So,
can't
you
stay
know,
at 207 because that's not Fred's property. That's not their property anymore.
did you hear rumors, Ryan?
Oh,
Did you hear
207.
rumors of their mom being poisoned and her
I
pants
heard,
around her ankles and all that
yeah,
crazy
well,
stuff?
yeah. And what I heard,
And a knife on the bed.
what I heard was Fred's behavior was really weird. It was
Yeah,
just not normal for a situation like that.
that he wouldn't go in the house.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's kind of like his behavior when he heard Cotton died, which is why I think it's suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Allie, talk to us.
She disappeared.
There she is. Oh. Okay, tell us about the circumstances of how she was found, please.
Text it all.
Well, he said he did go to the funeral, but he stood outside or something. I don't remember what that story was.
Fred didn't go to the funeral. He sent Chad in his place.
I'm
And
so much louder.
Chad didn't say one single word the whole time until he was getting ready to leave. And he talked to Ellie, and then he brought up Summer. And she thought that was very odd.
What do you mean, Nana? I'm curious about that. Chad's behavior.
I have to look at chat. Guess I'm missing some stuff. No, you didn't. Yeah, from what I know of, their mother died in the hospital. So I would say ex-nay on all the rumors.
Interesting.
Do you know what live that was of 6 Ups, Lisa, or anybody? Or how
I
long
don't-
ago it was? I know I watched.
Oh,
some of
yeah,
it,
you
but-
could find it and share
Yeah.
screen for us.
So
Yeah, I can search a transcript and try to see if we can pull it up.
Ellie just posted a comment there.
Oh Lord.
Lying on the floor. So she wasn't passed at that point. If she died in the hospital, then she would have been.
What was her cause of death, Ellie? You know?
Do you have a mod that can go over and grab that link if I tell you which one it is from 6's live?
Yeah, can you? If you put it in the back chat, you might even be able to share it too.
Innocent could go over and find it.
Okay, it's right here.
Broken foot.
The thumbnail's got a like a yellow orangish triangle on it. A YouTube button. It's called Fred Hill's sister Karen Ellie joined us for a conversation 1 month ago.
Okay, I see.
It's a 5-hour live.
Okay, let me see if I can find where they talk about that.
She has trauma to her head and swelling on the brain. A broken
So,
foot.
what was the cause of death? Do they think it's suspicious? Has it been closed out, the case? Or did they call it accidental?
I think Fred says she had MRSA or something like that.
I don't think she had MRSA. That was
MRSA?
Karen Goad.
God, that's horrible.
Yeah, Don's mom had MRSA, right?
Hmm.
She's not answering me about cause of death. Maybe they haven't released that yet. Is somebody looking for that?
Yeah, I think I've got it. Give me just a second.
Okay.
I get on here and talk, and I get all soft. And then but in real life, I'm infuriated, if you can believe that.
What would we do if we didn't have Carrie here to lead the way?
Oh, goodness, you don't want me leading the way. You know me behind YouTube. You don't want that. Okay.
But when's this going to end? When is this every night with these creators that go live every night and talk about summer and just make up a title and a subject to talk about? When is that going to end? You know, I think that should have ended
A long
last
time
year.
ago.
Yeah.
Well, one creator has her name in the title every night, but doesn't talk about her.
I mean, they're
For
not
most of us.
trying to change. They're not trying to look for answers. They're not correcting misinformation. It is literally new theories and trash.
Seems like that goes that way in all of these big cases. Lisa, if you'll just add that to the stage, I think I have it.
I don't know. I almost wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if they were talking about the case, but when they put her name in the title and then start talking crap about other creators and don't even mention her,
yeah,
that's sick. It's just sick to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ellie, I'm so sorry. That's horrible. We'll play this though. Hopefully I have it at the right spot.
Something to make up. Yeah. What they do is they're thinking of stories to make up.
That's not it.
Gabe gave $20. I'm late to the stream, but I'm so glad to hear the truth. So weird. Gabe gave $20. I'm late to the stream, but I'm so glad to hear the truth. Karen, thank you for your courage. And I like to echo that. Thank you for that. I was doing the stream, and as I was streaming it, I texted one of my friends and told them that Karen is a fucking warrior. That's how I see her. So Gabble Geeks gave a $49.99 super chat. Thank you again for that. Tragedy Pimps Exposed gifted another membership. Thank you. And then Bite My Tongue came in with another $50. Holy shit. Archangel gave another $1.99. You guys are crazy tonight. Thank you. So I will get all of that when I get it from the stream. I will split it with Karen. She's going to get half anything. And if I get any donations on my Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and that would be amazing. Buttercup, you asked something earlier. I forget you asked something earlier and I missed it. And I was thinking that I needed to answer you and I can't remember. Shit. My brain is mush. Ellie was very nice. Didn't scream, holler, squeal, never bashed anyone. No, she didn't. Yes, Crystal, I can see you. I see you, Crystal. Turn Empress on right now. What's going on? Are we going to have fun tonight? My co-host left. I can get another co-host, though. I can drop the link. Empress Zigster. I didn't want to chat. I thought this was important going back to the bushes. So what happened in it? You guys need to listen. Okay. Hold on.
Okay, well, I didn't find it. It was just that one little part, I guess.
Well, it says his sister. You missed. Yeah, Nana, you are a warrior for summer. You really
Mhm.
are.
100%.
I just don't think the people that know something are going to talk.
Okay, it's around
Sadly.
56, 57 that they're talking about their mom.
It's sure good. Did you hear that, Carrie? Carrie.
I did. Here, I'll share it again. I got that timestamp.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no transcript on here.
if you'll just pull it up there.
Here we go.
Agree. He was on that property. But what I found tied up and hid away was a lingerie top and some stockings. And it concerned me because that was just that was around the same time that Layla had went missing. And I knew Fred was in jail, and I thought, oh my gosh, what if somebody has stashed something here? I mean, you don't know what to think. So I called law and I reported it, and they came out and looked at it, and they laughed and they said, oh, that's just where Fred was having a little side action, and he just didn't want Laura to know about it.
Whoa.
So, considering I know it wasn't Laura's clothes, I don't know whose it was, but I do know Ziggy was on that property. Mom was in the hospital at the time, and how I know Ziggy was there is because when the ambulance was called for Mom, Julie actually convinced Laura to ride to the hospital with her and help her with Mom. But when Laura got to the hospital, she stayed down in the lobby, or she was there for just a few minutes, and she said, "Oh, I've got a ride. I'm going." Guess who picked her up from the hospital? And Laura wouldn't even stay to help with Mom. Ziggy picked her up.
What?
Yes, Ziggy picked her up. And while Mom was in the hospital, Ziggy was on 165 Ben Hill Road.
Damn, Ziggy.
And when Mom got out of the hospital, actually, the day before Mom got to come home, Julie had went down to the house to get Mom some clothes to come home in, and she went in the house, and obviously the doors had been broken into. Somebody had been in the house, which that was Fred, because Julie had cameras in Mom's in the house to help keep an eye on Mom, and she had already seen Fred on the cameras and stuff. But the cameras had an ability to be cut off from time to time and then be cut back on. So somebody down there had to be doing it. But she found a little girl's white shirt in Mom's bathroom, and there was mud everywhere. A shirt that she had never seen before. Looked like something that a child would wear. Yeah. But that was the same time that we picked Laura up from the hospital.
Damn,
and
Ziggy was hot for that Amish mullet. That's right, Star. She was. Sorry, I had to read that one. That's funny as fuck. I don't care who you are. 333 in chat, guys. Oh man. Wow.
And I mean, that was in January. Fred goes to jail in June, and there was clothes hid in a bag. They were tied up in a bag and stuffed down in a box, a Mountain Dew box, and the Mountain Dew box was stuck back in a burn barrel, and the door was shut on it.
Oh man.
And the cops from Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, the detectives is the one that came out. There was 4 of them.
Before he went to jail, TP. That was before he went to jail. Sorry.
And I found that the clothes after he went to jail, thinking, Fred's in jail. Who could have put these here? Okay, well, the cops think after, having questioned Fred over a lot of things, the cops just all laughed and looked at each other and laughed, and one just kind of looked at me and snickered and said, I think it's okay. That's something Fred was probably having a little side action, and it ain't nothing to worry about. I said, oh, okay, well, cool, good. At least it ain't got nothing to do with a missing girl.
Oh, she put it back up. That's what I thought, bitch. Don't be weak. Don't be a weak bitch.
So who was the side action?
I don't know.
It could have been anybody. I don't know.
Well, if we got to the goal tonight.
Okay, I didn't know if we needed to go any further than that, but
I think Fred was kind of a creeper, wasn't he? He was peering in the Wells basement, and I mean,
Yeah.
how could he see Jody Sue's son in the pool with Summer allegedly, which it wasn't Jody Sue's son, but how could he see that? He seems to have been able to see a lot of things up there on the hill.
Pretty wild, isn't it?
Jody Sue said someone was peeking in her windows.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Andy's
think-
kind of confirmed that too. I
Yeah,
believe.
he did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Fred could have just picked up kids' clothes. Somebody said he stole Summer's bike. He's a little weird. Fred's freaky.
I mean, meth will do some wild things to people too.
What would
So
he
I
do with
try
a
to
little
take-
girl's bike, though? I don't get that.
Yeah, or even clothes.
Sell it at the
makes no sense.
scrapyard.
Metal, yeah, maybe.
And usually I would take what somebody else is saying with a grain of salt, but I mean,
Mhm.
it's a sister. I don't have any reason to not believe her. I don't know why she'd make up something like that. She probably would rather she was never even thrown out here with all this.
I heard it
So-
from someone else as well.
Yeah, it would make no sense for her to lie to me, I don't know.
No, I don't either.
Where are you
Okay,
going
with that-
next, Ryan? When it gets warm out, where's your next spot?
So you broke up. Was that to me?
Yeah, where are you going next?
Oh, I don't really want to say. Let's just say I am really excited because we just got permission to get into, for the first time in a long time, because property owners are so protective. I just decided to drive up to a place I saw on a hiking channel that they allow people to hike up the mountain behind Ben Hill. And I drove up there this weekend, talked to him, wonderful, adventure loving guy, loves hikers, and he's going to let us hike up the mountain and bring my drone up. So, and if I'm lucky enough, the timing might work out. I just made friends with one of the country's best dog handlers. And if the timing works out, he said he would be willing to come up with me. So it's a shot in the dark. I got to tell you, every time we go out in the middle of wherever, I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like an idiot. I feel like every place we go feels like just a complete shot in the dark, needle in haystack. I feel stupid doing it, but I'm like, what else do we have? What other hope do we have except looking in places that maybe nobody has looked well enough? And so that's what we're going to do. And whatever, people can talk shit, whatever they want, but we're just going to keep doing it.
I would go
Buddy.
if I could do it, I would go on the time frame of an hour. And I mean, sorry, not an hour, about 15 to 20 minutes out from 4:30, give or take, is where I'm going with it. I know I'm talking out loud and confusing you guys. Candace knew her daughter was gone at 4:30, right?
Yep.
And the call was not put in till 6:30.
I think even earlier. I think about, yeah.
I
You're
think,
talking like a 15-minute walking radius from the
no, she drove out of there because
driving radius.
Yeah, Chad supposedly followed her out of the holler, so she was driving, and Jody heard that vehicle come back at 5:30. So
If you take that map, like, just do this for an exercise. If you take the map and start at Ben Hill and you draw a 15-minute driving radius from there, it's huge. That's a lot of land.
Oh my gosh, yes it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it was pre-thought. That's just me. I think it was last minute.
Exactly, Rain Dancer. I was just going to mention that, St. Clair, the gas station.
St. Clair.
How far is that from the gas station that Candace went to? I just re-listened to Don B's and Benny. They both said that.
I thought the gas station was like on the Kingsport side of things.
What value does that put into the story, though? The gas station. I've never really got that.
Well, she went there after Summer was missing. Why?
Maybe she had to wash her hands. You know?
That's what people think.
That far from her house?
St. Clair.
Well, where else is she gonna go? They do live. It's out there.
I don't know how far that is, but yeah, Benny talked.
That's a 38-minute drive to St. Clair.
How
Where did St. Clair come into the picture? It's 38 minutes.
Benny brought it out right at the beginning. 38 minutes. Okay, so
Dear Lord.
that was 38 minutes there and 38 minutes back, right? So what was she doing there? What was the point? Summer wasn't 38 miles from.
I don't think that's the right gas station. The right gas station is on the way toward Kingsport.
Yeah.
I know the gas station, and we've been by it and searched near some of the parks in the area. It's not far. It's like maybe it is actually 10 to 15 minutes from Ben Hill.
Even so, though, she's going to look for a little girl. Why were you driving?
How far was the right gas station, Nana, from? And was it between 110 and we're done was working?
Yeah, Nana knows where the gas station is.
I know.
Yeah.
I was wondering if she'd give us a little hint there. Don V didn't go to the right one, Katerina. He went to a different one, the wrong one. You know how that goes. He took down all of this stuff, so I had to search and find it another way.
Why do they keep taking down stuff? Because a lot of it's helpful to go back and look at, you know.
After Candace took him to court.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, there is that.
So, Nana, how far is the right gas station? Hi, Bob. From. Yeah, Benny did. How far is the right gas station from 110? And is that between 110 and we're done was working?
That's a good question.
Because that would be a place to look.
Yeah, I never thought of
that. The gas station that Dawn would go to get lunch and stuff? Is it the same one?
I don't know.
She was the one sighted there though, coming out of the bathroom allegedly.
Right. But what was she doing there?
She was apparently driving like crazy all over the place though, between whatever 3:30 and 5:30 or 6 when Andy saw her pull in, 6:30, something like that. She was driving like a bat out of hell all over the place.
I mean, I could see that too if your child's missing. So I always try to think of, you know, like I say it all the time, but don't ever say what you would do in a situation because we don't know what we would do.
Yeah, but she wouldn't go that far because she couldn't have walked that far on her own.
I mean, I think that her driving that far is kind of strange for a kid that age.
It is. Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
If it was a teenager, maybe I would think, oh, they might take off with a friend or, you know, and I might have gone out searching that way. But for a child that age, I'm pretty sure I would have stayed right at my home area.
Hi, Amanda. I don't know if that was not Robin's church. She drove to the church at the bottom of the hill where they had the command post.
No, church is all the way on 36. That would be, I mean, maybe. No, it's Fort Patrick Henry Drive, so it's all the way across town.
See, there's something with that too. That somebody said she was seen on Light Hollow Road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else went to Light Hollow Road that day?
Who?
Fred.
Yes.
Who did?
Fred's everywhere. He's everywhere and sees everything.
Yeah. He just now said, he said he went to Light Hollow Road to pick up that bike. And then he had added where it was, whose it was. And then here recently he added that he went to a lady's house to use her Wi-Fi, but she wasn't home. But yet he says that he told the
heck?
biker he was in a hurry, so I don't much understand that. But yeah, he was on Light Hollow Road.
Huh.
Who knows what time he left Van Hill? He won't tell you.
There is something that scares me a little bit about, and I hate to. I don't usually talk about the wells when I'm, well, I guess we do because we come up with theories, but one of the things that scares me, you guys heard about Candace. She used to be homeless. She used to live in different places. You've heard that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And in Kingsport, I got to tell you, there's countless homeless encampments in places people have no idea. We've come across so many, and I like some places. I'm like, I had no idea how somebody could even put a tent here. It's just in the middle of town, but you would never find it. It's hidden. And in Kingsport, there are so many places that nobody goes. And if I wanted to hide something and I knew all of the hiding places, those would be the places that I would hide something. But trying to guess which one, I couldn't even begin. Like it's sad. The homeless population in Kingsport and the number of encampments and the possible hiding places are countless.
Yeah, Johnson City as well has a huge, almost like tent city out there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of it.
Yeah, but Candace wasn't ever homeless in Tennessee.
So was it Wisconsin? Was it another state?
No, it was
Arkansas, wasn't it?
St. Louis. They kicked her out of the carnival. And then Candy went over and rescued her, but I don't understand how she was homeless because Candy went and got her. Candy was managing the motel, so why didn't Candace stay with her?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I
don't know. I have a whole different theory, I think, than any of you guys do, but I'm one of those that I do think that Candace may have been sleeping for whatever reason. I think they got home and she was preoccupied, whatever it was. I think that Summer probably did get out of the house. I don't see any of Candace's kids being like the ones kind that would, they're going to stay right here kind of kids. I don't know, but I would, just based on how they were raised, I kind of would think that. And I do think that she got out, and I think that somebody in that area got her. That's what I think. I truly do.
You lean toward the abduction side?
I do, but
Really?
yeah, but I think somebody that knew her. Yeah, I do. I don't think some random person went up on Ben Hill Road and took her. I don't.
Believe it
but
or
I
not,
think it's possible somebody could have seen her out walking around, this little girl, and we've got a bunch of people on meth, and I'm here to tell you I've covered so many cases where meth was involved, and they can do some wild, crazy things that are unimaginable. So, and I'm not saying who I think, because I don't really know, but I do feel that is most likely what happened.
So, Carrie, could we go down that road? Because I don't, like, I'm not a true crime. We don't do true crime. Well, Jen does watch, obviously, tons of true crime, but the meth community, I thought that they don't care about kids. Like, they don't do things with kids, do they?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Well, there's a flip side to that. When they're high, they absolutely can and will. I just covered a story like last year, right next to me, town over. Mom and dad left their little 3-year-old with a guy who was high on meth. They went to get themselves a prostitute because they too were high on meth. They left the little girl with them, and they found that little girl. She had been AR'd and was face down in the swimming pool in a motel. So yeah, it's bad. They can and do some crazy things.
Is it random that what they do to kids, or so I heard parents?
So I think to be honest, I think that
Yeah.
the sex drive component of it gets really strong, and that's about all I know of it. But
Okay.
I think that is a part of it, and I think that they're just so wigged out they don't care. They don't
That's
care.
what I was going to say. I heard that you're hypersexual.
Yes.
How do you say that? Hypersexual active on meth.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize meth does that.
Yes, very much so.
Interesting.
I don't say that from experience. I just say that 'cause
I
I've
think
covered
that's
enough
a
of it.
personality trait. I don't think it's the group of meth. What do they do? I think that's an individual thing.
Right.
What about the theory that so people who are on meth, parents who are on meth, there's that whole story that they'll sell their children for money or drugs for that purpose.
I don't see any real
Yeah, but
drug
Don
dealers
had
wanting to
money
buy
for
a little
drugs.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Summer was not seen walking down the road, Bertie. That's probably why. That was not true.
Yeah, Nana, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, people that get clean, they will, you just wouldn't imagine the things that they had done while they were high. I think that's what I was trying to say. So I do believe that is a high possibility. I truly do, especially when you have people that live out there that are coming up with all these crazy ass stories and lies, and there's no real reason why you would do something like that. Either you're interfering in the investigation, you're just a habitual liar and need attention, or you know something. I don't know what it is.
Well, he's got some issues too. He's got paranoia, schizophrenic.
And that's another
drug
issue with
use.
me too. That's another problem I have too.
Yeah.
Who has that? I was reading chat. Who has that first?
Fred.
First.
Oh, you can't hear me? Fred.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of that might have been like meth induced over the years too. I don't know if he was always that way, if his sister has said or not. I don't know anything. I just know that he's always had a really bad drug problem. And, it's unfortunate, but for anybody that has a really bad drug problem and something like this happens, it's hard for me not to give a little side eye, especially considering everything else,
You'll hear that in that interview. She actually talks about that. She said it didn't start till the drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
if
Robin
we
said, they
go-
mix it with batteries and Drano. I mean, what do you expect is going to happen to your brain? You
rat
know?
poisoning. If we go with your theory, Carrie, then hello, then who is it? Let's not
Mhm.
okay, not Fred. Who is it then? Because the cameras, there was a camera on Simpson. So if they passed the Thompsons, they would have been caught. If they passed Ben Hill and Beach Creek, they would have been caught. So if they drove on Ben Hill, they've been identified.
Actually, Kirst, you're right. You're absolutely right. The only way to get her out of there would have been to put her in a vehicle, cover her up, and drive her out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, like
But still, they know all the.
Equisearch has said they don't think she's on that hill. They don't think she is, unless she's been moved like back there or something. And I trust Equisearch.
I don't think she is either.
Then you got that cut through from the Thompsons. You can get from the back of Fred's house to Light Hollow Road.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cut through.
There is.
As somebody that knew the area, if my theory is correct, it'd be somebody that knows that area very well.
Mm-hmm.
And she was probably taken out of there real quick.
Yeah, but don't you think that law enforcement has already checked with eliminated all the people that drove onto that road?
I would think. I don't know enough about the true camera situation to know one way or another.
Well, there's a camera at the house on the corner. That's how they know Candace left twice.
But who said that they know Candace left twice? Law enforcement?
Yeah.
Well, plus she's admitted it. She admitted that she was
said
down at
that.
Fred's.
But but that wouldn't have been on the camera. She left the road twice, so that would have been on the camera in the corner.
She would have been on the Thompsons camera.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't think that's what they're talking about. I think they meant she left the road twice.
Well, they said Chad
followed
followed her out.
Yeah, the Chad angle's an interesting one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on what Fred and Laura have told us.
Do you guys want another one to think about?
Oh gosh,
Of
right.
course.
This is something that Jen and I have started to land on, and I haven't mentioned this publicly. I'm probably going to get in trouble, and this probably will cause drama, but whatever. I'm just going to put it out there because we're focused on searching, and I don't do this talking usually, so I'm just going to put it out there. Based on everything we have learned up to this point, one of the theories that we have is that when they got home, Candace was distracted. Summer did go in the house, and the boys, one of the boys, don't know who, don't know which. And this is the thing that I might get in trouble because you're not supposed to talk about children. You're not supposed
No,
to
I know what you're going to say, and
I
I
have a
think the
feeling I
same
know what
thing.
you're going to say too, and I think the
That's
same
my
thing.
total 100%
Okay.
explains everything that
Yeah.
ever happened after that.
Mhm,
Yeah.
I think an accident. I'm going to put that in air quotes. An accident happened,
Yeah.
and I think see what happens in the holler. This is what I've learned talking to people, is when now it's one thing for an adult to do something to a child. If you imagine this, like you've got a family and a child accidentally maybe, or I don't know if it's accident, but does something to another child. Now you've got the community realizes a child maybe accidentally hurt another child, including law enforcement showing up, law enforcement who is very close to the holler community. And everyone's like, holy crap, what do we do? Do we want this child to be locked up for life for an accident?
Yep.
Okay, so when you've got all of
And what
these
if you're
people,
that mother of that child?
I mean, if you got enough people that want to cover up what happened to protect another child, I think that they can do it. I think they can do it. I think they could outsmart TBI, and I think that's why she hasn't been found in 4 years. That's my opinion at this point.
Well, and you never know what to believe out of Jody Sue's mouth, but she's addressed some of those things too. As in when she walked up, or she supposedly heard Candace say, "What did you do?" The boy saying that they last saw her outside. So, I'm with Ryan. Like I hate, you hate to go there.
That's where I am right now. Well, and that makes sense because like Don pulling him aside at the supervisor's station, remember?
Oh, and his face. Do you remember his face in the interview?
Yeah.
That to me struck
It was
me as
scared
so
and
crazy. Yes,
It was
yes.
very scared looking
He
face
took
for
him down
whatever
to
reason.
Fred's with him too.
Yeah.
Which says to me he took him away from law enforcement. Down the scene, get him away.
And it's tragic if you think about it. If that's what happened, it is tragic. It's horrible to think that's what happened, and then it's like it's not so black and white anymore. You don't have some horrible person who did this,
right?
And
honestly, Ryan, like I've had that thought many times over the years. I just, like you, it's something I don't really want to say publicly because I feel for the boys,
Yeah.
but we don't know what happened, and so it is a possibility. And what extent would a parent go to, save the other child? I would say they might go to quite an extent. So
I
think
just
that's a
can't,
possibility, and it would explain quite a few things as well.
especially 4 years with no answers.
Right.
Enough people who care about covering up whatever happened. That's the only explanation I can think of.
Yeah, and Andy, I agree as well.
Yeah, I agree too. Yep.
Well,
That's
I'm
where
not
I am.
watching the chat. So.
He said, I think the Utah trip was to get away from something.
Yeah.
But there are things going on in the background. Some people know about it. Some people don't. You just can't talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes it hard too, because then you come off like sounding like just being a meanie.
Mhm.
You're
I
really
told
not.
Carrie,
It's
I
like,
know what's going on.
like
I
you're
told
saying-
Carrie those things.
I think we say. I know I try to speak for myself. I try to say things that are based on like real facts. So.
Yeah. What changes the way I do things now? The more you know, it's like, man.
It just fits because, like Don, saying he wouldn't want what would you want to happen to the person that did it? And he's like, well, jail's a terrible place. I don't know. I just think it fits everything.
The thing
Fits
is,
everything everybody said and did.
and the thing is, everyone has been just attacking the Wells, But if you think about it, let's say it was your child and an
Yeah.
accident happened. Wouldn't you do everything possible to protect your child?
I mean, yeah, especially if you just lost one. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
are. I mean, I think it would be human nature. It really would. I don't know
See,
what
I
I would
think that
do. I
too,
don't
but
know.
man, then to be, so inhumane to the one that passed, that means that you just ditched her somewhere to cover for this child.
Absolutely.
What justice are you doing that child?
But then she had to put Summer to the side because the boys are still here, right?
Still alive.
Well, Dr. Phil, remember they asked her, do you know someone? And she couldn't get it out. No. She mouthed it no, and then she said no, like she was aware of who did it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Total
like,
speculation.
yeah,
Total
people like
speculation.
we don't like to talk about some of those things. I know I don't for sure, especially if it's kids. But I'm with you on it, and I've always kind of had my mind there too. But you got to find Summer to be able to get Summer justice.
Yes.
And the odds of just randomly coming upon her in that wide, vast area with nothing but mountains and trees is slim to none.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you can come up with a good enough factual based theory that might, fit the what we know, then it gives you a better look at where to start, where to look, where to keep looking, or whatever. So it kind of, it has to go hand in hand, I think, sadly.
Amanda, I'm not sure the two younger boys did know, and something is affecting the older boy, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Well, if you think about that scenario, let's say it was, and obviously we're speculating, but like you mentioned, Carrie, it helps with each theory will produce areas to look, right? So if it was an accident and you needed to cover it up quickly, the disappearing a couple times in the car makes sense. Right? You'd put her in the back, you'd cover her up, you'd get the hell out of there. And so I think Kirst made a comment earlier about the driving distance, like how far could you possibly drive? Maybe there's something to that, but it it creates this radius that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
and
said
I
that to
like
you
to think.
long ago that Don is missing an hour of time.
Yeah.
And Candace is missing an hour. So I said, I think she's within an hour drive.
Well, Jody's put
Hill, but
that out
that's a huge area.
It's a huge radius, yeah.
But also, here's the thing. Here's the thing on that. Does it make sense if somebody is going to drive a long distance with a deceased body in their vehicle?
Not unless you're meeting someone with it.
But even then, I'm not going far. Let me tell you, I'm
You're
going right around the corner and I'm out of here.
But think of your state of mind, like you've got searchers coming and they're going to be looking at a radius. I don't know if she would have known what the radius was, but at least she would have known they would have been looking hard
in that area
near the property, right? So how far? It depends on state of mind, whoever was trying to hide her.
Right.
Yeah, it's just hard. I feel like that's really the only way the case will get solved is to.
Yeah, she's probably going to accidentally be found someday.
I do think like the majority of theories that have been put out there are probably. I think that we've been far off for a long time, and that's not worked. So just sitting here blaming Dawn and Candace nonstop has not worked for 3 years.
Right.
And like somebody said something about the boys, like we're not blaming them. We're just, discussing that very well, sadly, potentially could be a theory.
Yeah.
And we don't like it. We don't even like discussing it. But do you want justice for Summer or
But
not?
on the other hand, do we need to keep blaming the Wells or these other people that are possibly innocent? Maybe we need to back off that.
I think so. Like I don't think anybody, that potentially could be innocent should be. I don't think their names should be thrown around, and I've always felt that way. Like I said earlier, I don't know that Andy did anything. I don't think he did. I think that the proof is there that Andy wasn't there.
Yeah.
So
I think Andy and Dobbs and Tony Hammond.
Dobbs, yeah.
I've totally ruled out. I mean,
it,
Tony was ruled out by the cops.
It it can destroy these people's lives, and that to me is sad. We're
No,
supposed to be here
because
for. Go ahead.
Bella, because the decomp wouldn't have started then. So
Right.
it has to be decomp, and that takes an hour at least.
What does Andy think? He said he knows what he thinks.
I know.
I don't know what Andy thinks, so that's why I was asking if he'd share.
Andy, tell us what you think. I know what I think. Go ahead.
Are we agreed that Fred is essentially a distraction?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's just in there muddling the waters, which is, I think, a crime in this case, because why is he doing
it very
that?
well could be interfering with an investigation if it continues. That's what I think.
I absolutely
don't think that I don't think that they're enjoying these tips that they're getting lately.
No, and that's ridiculous. She calls. Did you see how many times she said she's called the FBI, and they haven't called? No, Chris McDonough. How many times she's called dozens of calls to him, and he won't call her back? Yeah, well, take a clue. Take a hint there.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of dogs were there. If you guys do, I don't know what they had right away or anything.
I don't know.
Nana said decomp starts almost immediately, which is true. So if they had, depending on what dogs they had there. I always wondered too why we never heard about a dog hitting on one of their vehicles or anything like that.
Well, we never heard, or anywhere around, but I know I heard one dog had a lot of false hits. So there's probably a lot of hits that we didn't hear about. I mean, it would have been, she should have been all over up there, right?
I assume they use live search right after a disappearance, don't they?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Does that go?
No, they use cadaver dogs.
Right after a disappearance, really?
Yeah, I just watched Dave Rader say that.
Then
There were
they found
stories told about what they gave the dogs to smell as well. That goes on with the clothing being in a box and hidden.
Allegedly, she pulled a sock out of the dirty laundry basket. So I'm thinking that could have been. I mean, if she had that jacket right there, why not give that to him? I mean, that could have been anybody's. Give him one of Summer's shoes. The sock could have been anybody's. Plus, if it's mingled with other clothes, it would have everybody's scent on it.
Yeah. Now, Candace said they did use the jacket, remember, because she said that they had thrown it on the ground, which I don't believe.
Yeah, but her first story was the sock. So
yeah,
see, now when you get so many stories from a mother. Then, for me, I can't exclude her because of everything that's been done, and it's not just the crying and the acting a fool. It's little things that it's. How else do you look at it as other than you know what happened?
Yeah, I think Bet just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think she very well may. And I always try to be careful because when we hear in a case, well, they're not talking. Well, they don't have to talk to YouTubers. So it's very likely she could have told, depending on what happened, she could have told law enforcement what she knows. She just hasn't told us the truth. So we see all these little gaps and, things we side eye. It's possible she did tell law enforcement the truth on it and just doesn't want social media to come down on her. But I mean, I don't know.
Betty, he didn't say the case bleeds over. He said the investigation bleeds over. So, they're probably found things in the CPS case, but he didn't say that the case bled over. I think they're kind of investigating both things, CPS and Summer.
I think if it was like a situation where they sold her or something, like was, the theory for so long, that they would have been already convicted, I believe. I think there would have been enough of a electronic kind of trail and stuff to have solved it by now.
Yeah, they and the Sean Williams thing, I think that's a dead end. He had all these women coming in there bringing their kids. He didn't have to come out here to the wells in a dead end road and take Summer. I just think that's really far-fetched. Plus, they already went through all of his pictures. I'm sure they identified all the kids, and Summer wasn't there. We would know about it. I mean, TBI is busting meth
Oh,
and trafficking rings
huge ring. Oh
constantly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not hiding anything. I mean, if Summer, she would have been found.
Yeah, I don't think that that's.
No, I don't
just
think that's it
that's
at all.
the case.
God, we spent so many hours going down the road of Robin Lane and the church and like
Oh my
illegal
gosh.
adoptions and all that crap. Like
Oh
it's just
no.
ridiculous. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta kind of
Sorry, Robin.
explore everything, even though you're like, this makes no damn sense. But
It's
okay, here we go.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, the church. I never bought into any of that. But I'm just like a
No.
more like common sense. Like, how does this stuff usually play out?
It's
Well,
always
yeah.
the simplest. It's always the simplest
It is.
answer.
Yes,
man.
it
really
always is. And I think people have gone too far afield with their trying to
Mhm.
come up with more and more fantastical scenarios.
And that's why I get so frustrated with Fred, because he's not helping at all with all this stuff. It's
No.
just creating more of a shit show. And poor little Summer, her case was
Well-
a shit show for 3 straight years.
Mhm.
Yeah, his first story, sacrifice. Don told him he sacrificed Summer. Well, then why wasn't that on the tape he was taping when he
He
was
manip-
wiretapping? I
he
mean, why?
manipulated
And then
comment.
now suddenly, why is it a totally different story that Don wanted his help? Where was that? Why is that coming out 4 years later?
Don was
Yeah.
talking. Don was talking his religious spiel, and Fred took that and twisted it and made it sound like it had to do with sacrifice. You know what I mean? He just twisted the comment. It was all about like making sacrifices religiously, and suffering. You know what I mean? Like he was just. It's just, yeah. Fred drives me crazy.
Tyla, she could have, but the cadaver dogs went in that cemetery there. They could tell.
Which one?
They could tell that.
Yeah,
cemetery.
that would have been really, really dumb criminal act, because there's going to be
The
fresh
dogs
dirt
could
and
tell
stuff.
that. Yeah.
The dogs, yeah.
In a cemetery?
Yeah.
Was that another rumor about the shallow grave that was brought up? But that was a rumor.
The one on 165 Fields Road.
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking?
yeah. I believe it came from Fred.
So you guys are in the understanding that a cadaver dog can scent a body underneath, double stacked underneath a.
I believe. Well, it wouldn't be under the. It would be on top of.
No, I'm talking. So in the scenario where, let's say, there was a fresh grave dug for the next day, they put it underneath, the coffin gets put on top. Cadaver dog would never be able to spot that.
I don't know. They can scent down pretty far, and they can also I know people ask if a horse was buried on top of her, and I read that they could tell that.
Yeah,
they
definitely.
can smell through. They can smell through concrete.
They could tell
You
the difference
see
probably between an animal.
I don't see someone jumping in a 6-foot hole and then burying her further down. Because they put bulbs and everything down in those holes.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. Yeah.
I don't
Before
see
they.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Terry Southern Girl makes a really good point. I was just thinking about that. And she said, well, I've been watching the Evelyn Boswell case, and they had to have her dogs. They didn't just take them the area of where she was at in the trash can. They never did pick up her scent, and they didn't.
Yeah.
She was right there. Elijah Vu, they didn't get him either. He was right there. They went over him like 3 different times or something.
Mhm.
So I think sometimes we tend to put too much faith in the dogs. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Those dogs can get distracted so easily.
Sebastian Rogers
Yeah.
case the same way with the dogs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so many cases there's just been issues with dogs and scents. And,
Well, they're only as good as they're trained to be. Now,
Exactly.
Twyla said the one dog
and their
was.
handlers.
Yeah.
She trusted the one dog explicitly. I just watched that clip, and but there was a
Yeah,
lot of other dogs there.
The handler in Pennsylvania told us he was on a search once, and even the exhaust from a nearby vehicle screwed up his dog. Like, it's that easy to screw up a dog.
Right.
On the other
Yeah.
hand, I read a dog that tracked someone that was in a car for 2 miles. So they're, well, different breeds of dogs work different ways too.
Yeah.
You know how a bloodhound, its ears pull up the scent, and some dogs are air scent, and some
Yep.
dogs are ground scent.
Yeah, they're
That reminds
certified.
me of, go ahead. That reminds me of what Lawson said about the dog trail. He said it, and everybody kind of takes it as Bible that the dogs picked up her scent and then took it down the dog trail and lost it. I don't see it that way. I see it as wherever he got his information from, he just assumes that's what happened. But, the dog didn't tell you that. The dog didn't tell you, like, yeah, I smelled her, and then it ended here. Just because the dog, are you guys following me here? Just because the dog started here and stopped here does not mean that was her scent that started here and ended there, is what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
I have a video on the scents and where all they were supposedly picked up, and they were kind of all over the place. I think it was, when the sheriff came out and said that about they tracked down to the road, is what made me believe that they really had tracked a scent of some sort, and that's why I've always kind of thought she very well could have left that property.
It's possible.
Well, but there would have been footprints, and there weren't. I mean, she couldn't walk down there and not leave a trail, right?
Well, there's early on how that one neighbor said they had found footprints in his property.
One
Yeah, there's
footprint.
all around that area there was, I mean, if those were all her prints, she's out running around, just free and carefree as could be, because they were kind of all over the place.
Well, that grass is very high out there.
Yeah.
Heavy. Yeah, you could have thrown her out of the car onto the side of the road and not seen her. That's how high it was.
What Andy just mentioned has disturbed me for up to a year now, and it's true that on that day there was an open grave. Maybe you're right, Kirst. I didn't know that they.
Was it right across the road?
Yeah, it was right across the road. There was an open grave. Maybe they put a vault in.
I think they did check that. They said they did check that out.
I don't know that anybody checked that grave. That would be wonderful if they did, but.
Well, is it like a maintained graveyard?
It's a legitimate graveyard, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, then they would, all the preparation stuff. I don't know if somebody get away with that. I don't know. That'd probably be further down on my list anyway.
It's a common thing. Like I do know that among criminals that want to get rid of bodies, double stacking is a common thing. Wow. Putting them under a legit grave, because they know that cadaver dogs will never be able to tell the difference between the cadavers. Like there's two there, so
that sounds more like a plan.
I don't think they would be able to, in a casket and then in a sealed concrete vault. I don't think they'd be able to send that. I honestly don't.
It would, yeah. So the day before, let's say hypothetically, the day before the funeral, the day before they put the casket in there, jump in, dig. See the vault thing though, I didn't know that. Like if you guys are right, and there's actually a concrete vault.
Oh yeah, there is. Yep.
Then that changes that theory.
It's big and it's quite thick. That's to keep the water, to keep it watertight.
Well, Andy, come up and tell us what you're talking about.
Yeah, that seems
Tyla said, I'm sorry, wasn't it said summer would be no bigger than a laptop? Yes, that was said.
Yeah. Andy, come up.
Yeah,
I don't think if she was kidnapped, I don't think she would be close anyways. If it was someone, that had a vehicle, I don't think that they would think to do whatever they did and just dispose of her in the area. I think she'd be much further away.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Why make me? You're just taunting us down there in chat.
Yeah, especially me, because I don't know what he thinks. I'm really curious over here.
I hope Andy doesn't mind me saying this, but he he's told people many times about the dream. He's gotten in trouble about talking about the dream, but the dream was that's he had the vision in his dream of it happening, of them putting her in there underneath beforehand, and then he woke up the day after and he was hearing literally hearing the funeral going on when he woke
I
up.
remember that.
So and that whole thing made me like, it's disturbing to me, because if there isn't a vault, let's say hypothetically there isn't, and they did that, I mean, to me that's one of the most brilliant ways to get away with hiding a body.
Oh yeah.
Well, and in that area, I mean, I guess it's possible you probably could, more so than other areas.
Yeah, but if the funeral was a few days later, there wasn't a body in there. There would just be Summer in there, right?
Buried underneath at the bottom, yeah, and then they put the coffin on top.
Yeah, but if the funeral wasn't until a few days later, there's just Summer under there. And the dogs would have found her.
Yeah, see the timing, I don't know. Maybe Andy can help us with that. I don't know what the timing was with the search and the funeral.
Andy, hop up here real quick.
Yeah, I don't think a graveyard, but
Okay, so Chapstick says the 17th. Maybe that's correct. So it's 2 days later.
No, he's not gonna.
Is he playing shy?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know about the dream. I knew about the dream, but not that the details of it, about the funeral part. That's interesting.
No, I just heard he said he dreamed he saw Summer's body.
Yeah, I've heard that part, but the part that Ryan was talking about, he woke up and heard the funeral. I never heard that one before.
It's probably the part that creeped him out the most, because he woke up and actually heard it.
Yeah, people have twisted that so bad. Twisted the dogs hitting Jody feet. They did not hit. They just stopped. Her dogs were out. You know, people have said she was looking for Summer before Candace was. No, she wasn't.
She said she was looking for Summer before Candace knew she was looking for Summer. So she said.
Right.
Yeah.
She was walking down the hill and heard Candace across the street holler for her. That's how she knew.
Yeah.
And it had happened before with one of the boys. And then everything hit her at the same time. You know, the scream, the noises, the sounds. And like she says, uh-oh. Oh, shit. I better go look. And that's what she did, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, it's over 2 hours here. I think we're gonna wrap it up. And this is just part one. We're gonna rotate and do Kirsten Carey's panels too, and keep discussing Fred.
It's just
I know they could probably learn how to share screen, and I see more things on there. But yeah, stay tuned. We're not done. We got a lot more to go. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much, you guys. It was a really good conversation, and
thanks for sharing your theories, and thanks to my
so
guests.
much. Yeah, thank you,
First,
Ryan, for
and
being
yes,
out there searching for
Carrie and Kirst. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hopefully, she's found sooner than later.
Yeah.
Someday, I hope so. Okay, everybody, have a good night.
All right, thank you,
Later.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.